So before we wrap this session up, I want to return to the introduction, because it's such a key component of your essay. You have to impress the reader quickly and get the reader's attention so that you can obtain a top score. We're going to page 27 in my book, chapter 3, and we're going to look at a couple of sample intros to reinforce the points that you need to include in your introduction to impress the reader. So the first one says, in many instances, people attempt to succeed, yet end up failing. Now I'm going to bring back into this one that quote that I used earlier today about R.H. Macy. R.H. Macy, for example, went bankrupt 7 times before he finally achieved financial success with the department store that now bears his name. Progress can be defined in many ways, but it is best thought of as the act of moving forward onto new things and ideas, regardless of the obstacles that stand in our way. In fact, transition, every advance involves some loss or sacrifice. This concept is illustrated throughout history, literature, and personal experience. So what have we accomplished in this introduction? Well, a couple of things, very important things. In many instances, people attempt to succeed, yet end up failing. A broad, sweeping statement that sets up the context for what we're going to talk about. Then we're going to throw in an anecdote. R.H. Macy went bankrupt 7 times before he finally achieved financial success. Then we're going to elaborate on that. Progress can be defined in many ways, but is best thought of as the act of moving forward onto new things and ideas, regardless of the obstacles that stand in our way. And that's really your topic sentence there. We're going to overcome the obstacles that stand in your way. Every advance involves some loss or sacrifice. Every advance involves some obstacle that has to be overcome. And then finally, we're going to give a roadmap to the reader, telling him what kind of content examples we're going to utilize to be able to support the thesis as we've expressed it in this intro. And an important point to remember is that it's not so much the prompt that matters, it's your interpretation of the prompt and how you're going to spin it. So finally here, we say this concept is illustrated throughout history, literature, and personal experience, and that wraps up your intro, and now you can proceed on to the next paragraphs, which are your content examples. So that's intro 1. I want to do one more intro that combines both quotes and anecdotes to give you the full flavor of what an introduction can achieve. So intro 2 on page 28. Intro 2 starts out like this. A famous proverb proclaims that, if at first you don't succeed, try again, in quotes. So guys, is that a tough quote to come up with?
No.
You've all heard that at one point or another, right?
Yeah.
So the quotes can be external, they can be internal, they can be well-known, they can be esoteric, strange and unusual. Across the board, it's your choice on how you're going to incorporate a quote. Some quotes are easy, and we just saw one. If at first you don't succeed, try again. What does that really imply? Overcoming obstacles and meeting challenges and achieving success. This advice, no. This profound advice. Should we use more details and adjectives?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Don't just say advice, embellish it. This profound advice suggests that failure is inevitable. There's that word inevitable again. What did it mean? Inevitable?
It's gonna happen.
Going to happen regardless of what you want to say or do about it. This profound advice suggests that failure is inevitable before success. Thomas Edison, for example, experimented with over 100 types of metal filaments before finally settling on tungsten for the electric light. What if you can't remember how many metal filaments Einstein experimented with?
Make it up.
Or rather, Edison experimented with. Make it up, exactly. It's not the factual details that count, it's just the details themselves. And what if you can't remember they settled on tungsten?
Make it up.
Make it up. Magnesium. So, his success, in other words, once you've talked about somebody's experience in an anecdotal form, encapsulate it in your own interpretation. His success, in other words, didn't come overnight. It resulted from persistence and hard work. Put another way, nice transition, every advance involves some loss or sacrifice, and there's your topic sentence. What do we do next? Roadmap for the reader.
Thesis.
Tell them where we're going, and then every paragraph will have a thesis. So here's your roadmap. This concept is illustrated throughout history, literature, and personal experience. And then we're back rocking and rolling with our content examples, introduction with thesis for each content example, and details, transitions, subordination, and flash vocab. Throw some words around, $5 words when you have a chance. And that's how you put together a successful and top-scoring SAT essay. So there you have it. Those are all the ingredients that go into a top-scoring essay. For an intro, you've got to have a broad, sweeping general statement that establishes context. It's nice to throw in some quotes and anecdotes. You hit the College Board readers with your interpretation of the prompt, and you tell the readers with your roadmap sentence at the end where you're going and how you're going to implement the prompt itself. Then you do your content examples, taken from history, from literature, from sports, movies, music, technology, personal experience. Use those content examples that you've got prefabricated, by which I mean prepared beforehand. You've already talked about those content examples to yourself. You've already written them on paper. You've already practiced them in various essays before you've gotten to the test. So it's all prefabricated. It's all in your head. You're ready to rock and roll, and you've got 80 to 90% of the test content established before you even hit the essay. And the last thing you have to be able to do is just spin the prompt. So whatever prompt the College Board throws at you, you can turn into obstacles overcome, progress ensues, challenges met. And in fact, I have a whole chapter in my book, How to Write a Killer SAT Essay, Chapter 8, that talks about all the possible prompts that come up and how you can spin them to your advantage, using the kind of content examples that we've talked about today. Moreover, in this book, in Chapter 5, I've got dozens of real essays from real students that have obtained top scores on their essays. So by analyzing those essays and seeing how somebody else has accomplished a top scoring essay, it will help you improve your own writing and score a top scoring essay yourself. So I hope this has been beneficial, and I wish you luck on your SAT endeavors. Thank you.